Hello, my awesome mid 439 students. Here's Dr. A with your week 10 rundown of the expectations for readings and assignments for this week. So, in order to prepare for this week, I have been doing a little reflecting on this semester and what we've been able to cover, and some of the feedback that I'm getting in terms of looking at your assignments and listening to some of the questions you ask, because that gives me a direction of what do we need. One other thing that I did is I went back to our introductory videos that you all sent me at the beginning of the semester. I wanted to check in and see how we're doing with some of the things that you said that you wanted to learn about. And one thing that several people talked about that we haven't really addressed is classroom management. So I'm circling back to that this week and adding a little bit more. And I'm going to present you with a scenario for you to start to think about and figure out how you can move forward. So I'm presenting you with a scenario that there's a teacher in your hallway who is a colleague of yours and is presenting a scenario to you. This teacher, Miss Mercer, has some things going on in her classroom, and I want you to give her some advice. Now, when we think about some issues that pop up in the classroom, sometimes they're the result of community, sometimes the result of individual students, sometimes they're the result of the actions that we take. Sometimes it's an underdeveloped lesson plan or something that wasn't really thought out or prepared well. Because classroom management issues can arise from a lot of different things. So I want you to be thinking about some different strategies and suggestions you might have. So the situation I'm presenting you with, there are a lot of problems in it, honestly, but they're not surface level. You're going to have to really dig deep, and I want you to be considerate in thinking what is actually causing the problems that are being presented. I want you to identify at least two parts of it, like two problems, and I want you to come up with some new ideas and suggestions for Miss Mercer to improve her practice. Help her address the scenario, think about what you would do moving forward, and addressing the problems that are currently in place. So this is going to be a good place for us to start. Another thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to do two readings out of this book. They are scanned and on Blackboard. Bergerstrasser and Woodfin is one of my favorite books for classroom management and a lot of other things. I'm actually planning on having it as a required book for one of my classes next semester. But you're going to be in student teaching, so this is beyond. If you want to buy this, though, it's an awesome book. So I'm going to have you read two sections, two practices. One is on transitions, and those are really important because a good lesson plan has multiple activities in it. And you need to be very thoughtful and considerate about how you transition from one activity to the next. If you don't have a plan, it's one of those things that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, is the adage that goes along with it. So it's really important that you are mindful about how transitions happen. And transitions happen a lot. So as you are in practicum, you might want to look at some of those transitions that are happening and how they're managed. And some are going to be more subtle and some are going to be more explicit. So things for you to think about. The other section in this book that I'm going to have you read is The First Five, Last Five. And that's talking about how important it is for the first 5 minutes of your class and the last 5 minutes of your class to be planned out really, really well. I'm picking those two sections because in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into the unit plans and actually coming up with 3 lesson plans. I'm going to introduce you to the template that we're going to use for the middle level program at MSU. My lesson plan template is intense. I'm just going to tell you now. And it has some really detailed expectations in it. And each of your lesson plans is going to have to fill that up. So that's something for you to be thinking about. But first 5, last 5, and transitions are things that I'm expecting you to build into your lesson plans. Now, you are turning in, or hopefully have already turned in your unit plans, the parts 1 and part 2. I'm going to take some time and look at the assessment pieces. I've gotten a couple emails this week saying that assessments are maybe something that I was taking for granted, that you already knew a little bit more than you might already know. So I'm going to try to give some detailed feedback on those elements for your unit plan moving forward. And hopefully we can advance our understanding of it. So you've got the readings, 2 of these. You've got your problem-based learning scenario for classroom management with Miss Mercer. The 2 other things I'm going to ask you to do this week, one is pretty straightforward. It's just a practicum check-in. I want to know how practicum is going for each of you. So give me a little write-up. This is not a major undertaking. I just want to hear how things are going. If you're in placement out in the field actually doing a traditional practicum, let me know, what have you been able to accomplish so far this semester. I want to see a copy of your logs so far, like how many hours you've been able to do. Don't worry if it's not signed right now, that's fine. It just needs to be signed by the end. This is just me checking in on each of you. Let me know what your plans are for the remainder of the semester. Have you talked to your mentor and say, in 2 weeks, I'm going to teach a lesson of my own design, or these are the responsibilities that I'm going to undertake in practicum. So I just want to check in on everybody. If you're doing an alternative practicum, I continue to update information on that one document that I want you to check out. There's details about how to submit things, your scenario. Thanks to my students who emailed me to remind me to do that this week. Sorry about the delay. But I want to know what the progress you're making on your alternative practicum assignments. Where are you? What questions do you have? Any feedback that you have for me saying, okay, I did the family module and it took me an hour, so that really wasn't it. I need feedback so I can constantly improve. That's my goal. And nobody's in trouble if you say that you haven't done anything with alternative practicum. That's fine. We just need to make sure that we're getting on track to make sure we're getting that done in the next 6 weeks or so. So give me a check-in on that. Finally, the last thing. This is actually something I'm really excited about, and that is a collaborative Padlet that we're going to do. So this course technically is called Instructional Strategies, but we haven't done a ton of that. And part of my rationale is that for me, instructional strategies are not something that can be done in isolation. So we are going to pull some of these in with your unit plan and your lesson plan and things like that. I didn't name the course. This is just your last semester in my program before going into student teaching. So I'm kind of pulling in a bunch of different things. So with that in mind, we need to dive a little deeper into instructional strategies. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to come up with a whole resource of different instructional strategies as a group. So I've created a Padlet, and the far left column is all going to be instructional strategies. If you've never used the Padlet, it's this great resource where you can go in and essentially make postings. It almost has like a social media feel to it, where you can put postings and postings and postings and postings and scroll through. But you can also do it in columns. There's a lot of different formats you can do. I set this one up in columns. And this first column is going to be instructional strategies. My idea is that if each of us contributes a couple of instructional strategies to this column, that way when you go into your lesson plans, you're like, you know what, I have this goal and I have this assessment and I have no idea what the best way to do this is. This will be something you can turn to and be like, perfect, I'm going to scroll through this. I have all these different ideas. So this is going to be another one of those kind of like your advisory activity things where we don't want any duplicates, but we want everybody to contribute a couple of ideas. So I put a couple of samples up there on the Padlet. So in terms of instructional strategies, I sat down and wrote a list of 50 off the top of my head of different things that I've used in the classroom, things I've seen other teachers do, and things that I've seen my student teachers do in past years that I've been able to say, oh, that's a really cool idea. So I know of about 50. And that was off the top of my head. If you are struggling to come up with some, let me know and I can give you a couple of ideas. We can chat. I can assign you a couple if you want. But what we're going to do is each of you is going to find one. You're going to post it on the Padlet in its own unique box, and then give me just like a sentence and give your peers a sentence summary of what it is, like what happens. And again, I put examples up there already. So you can check out the Padlet, and I'm going to ask you to do 3 of those by Friday. I will tell you the Padlet is moderated because I want to make sure that The ideas that are going up there are actually instructional strategies. I don't want anything getting lost. So even if you post something, it might not appear immediately, but I'm going to try to stay on top of those this week and approve them as I see. And then I might actually need you to modify something before and repost it. But I'll communicate with you one-on-one with that. In terms of examples of instructional strategies, again, I posted some on the Padlet, but like a gallery walk, a give one, get one, a graffiti wall, fishbowl, four corners, inside, outside circle, jigsaw, jury trial, KW charts, numbered heads together, passing notes. These are different types of instructional strategies that you can incorporate in your lesson plan. So that's the task for this week. You've got 2 short readings out of this. You've got your PBL, classroom management scenario, your practicum check-in, and your instructional strategies. If you have any questions, let me know. This week is going to be a great week. I just have a good feeling. I'm actually closing on my house today. Super excited, so I get to start the moving process. Life is good, so let's have a great week. I hope you all are well. If there's anything I can do to assist you, please reach out. Otherwise, I will talk to you soon.